Hey everybody, it's Terry
Tim here.
from Money Matters for Everybody. I hope you're having a great week. I think we've had a good week.
Yes.
I don't even remember what happened this week. Oh, I do remember one thing that happened, so we'll talk about that. So we are going to talk to you today about a couple things going on in the world of Money Matters for Everybody in our personal lives, I guess, more so. The first one we would kick off with is the June budget. So Tim and I went to breakfast this morning. It is June 3rd. I know we're a little late. Normally, the budget's usually locked in around the end of the month, and it was.
Yeah.
We actually had a little bit of extra surplus last month that got rolled into savings. So I had changed my full-time status up from 0.6 to 0.8 at work, and that did help with that quite a bit. 0.6 squeezed us. We could do it, but it squeezed us.
It was getting a little tight at times. So,
tight.
man, of course, right when you went part-time, we had some issues, not issues, but stuff to be taken care of with my car.
Yeah, so it's definitely hitting the emergency fund left and right, just dinging it. And the nice thing about having the emergency fund, so when you're in baby step 4, 5, and 6, well, baby step 3 is that for any of you following along for Dave Ramsey's baby steps 1, 2, and 3. Baby step 3 is getting your 3 to 6 month emergency fund, which I've kind of said jokingly, not jokingly, said I think it should be like 6 to 12 months at this point. I don't know what's happening in the economy. I try not to live fear-based, but I do think there's some winds shifting. So, and I think it's a blessing to be in a position where, put yourself in a position where if you wind up getting downsized, that you have an opportunity to turn that into a blessing, right? Maybe change careers, maybe find something else. And I wrote about that recently. And gap funds. I wrote about the gap fund in particular this week. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the June budget for us, it's June, it's summer, right?
Yeah, I mean, the kids are getting out of school.
So we have a June vacation plan this year.
Yeah.
And we'll share that when we get back. We're going to share that publicly when we're like ahead of time.
We'll maybe shoot a video while we're there. But
Definitely, we'll kind of share it. So we're excited about that. And usually, like the past couple of years, of us are going to the amusement parks quite a bit. We did an amusement park visit in April for opening day at a local park, but that was not a season pass, and it was just a day. It's a small local park, and it was a lot of fun. And I wrote an article about that as well, how you can, that park experience was really expensive. And you could really bust the budget on going to the amusement park.
Yeah, but we found some discount tickets.
Yep, we found discount tickets. We packed our lunch. It's something we had agreed. They have like a Chicky and Pete's, which is a local. If you don't know Chicky and Pete's, you can Google it. But they have like really good crab
fries and chicken fingers.
Yeah, and we were planning on getting that for lunch, like in addition to the packed lunch that we brought. So there are some things where we have like a little bit of a give and take. There's only so many dollars, right? You know how that saying, there's only 24 hours in your day. Well, time is limited and money is limited, so you have to think
and
carefully.
Food at an amusement park is crazy expensive.
Ridiculous. TJ actually did take his money that day, and he purchased, I think, chicken fingers. Did he get chicken fingers?
He got buffalo chicken tenders, a thing of Chicky's fries, and a bottle of water.
It was $25.
$25.
And then later on in the day, he got like a Rita's water ice. I don't remember if he got a gelati or if he just got a
it was a gelati.
Which is like, they use like a custard with water ice. And it was like $9.
It was nuts.
It was nuts. So, but there is an opportunity I mentioned in that article as well, that if this is something that's in your summer budget and you can afford it, that maybe it's worth considering purchasing annual season passes if there's a chance that you'll go more than once, because sometimes you can get discounts on the food.
Right.
We did not do that. We got discount tickets that Tim had found online for opening day.
Yeah, because it's not a park that we generally would go to more than once, maybe twice in a season.
Yep.
And typically the returns on season passes are usually 3 visits or more.
Definitely. So the June budget, anything else to say about that?
No, the June budget, just with it being summertime, the boys and I like to go deep sea fishing. With summertime and the boys and I like going deep sea fishing, we need to make sure that that's put into the budget, that we have a line item to draw against. Because it's part entertainment, part groceries, because we get the food and we bring it home and eat it.
It's really expensive fish tacos. It's entertainment. But it does get used, and that's something that we really enjoy. Fresh, even when you bring it home and you freeze it, you process it quickly. Most fish actually taste really good for quite a long time if it's processed correctly. There's some fish that It does taste a little bit fishy, and I think you have a solution to that, so we're going to try. But other than that, the June budget, I was pleased to announce to Tim that typically and historically, we always have a line item in the budget for each of us, just a little bit, $100 a month.
Yeah, it's like our allowance.
So, and historically, somebody's been going over budget.
But I kept under budget for like half of last year.
So I doubled each of our budgets. We talked about it, and there was a need. I think it was useful. It was helpful. If you don't use it, you can give it back to the household budget, or you can take it, the difference, and kind of put it in an envelope for, I don't know, the next tattoo that you decide that you want or something. So, because tattoo prices have gotten really expensive. So the June budget, it's here. I can't believe we're already in June, which is fantastic. Summertime is fun, but it's gotten hot already, so hopefully not too hot. And then we also like to go to the beach.
Yeah, we like to do day
beach.
trips to the beach.
Yeah.
And those, just like at the amusement park, we try to do that as economically as possible too. Like, we'll pack our lunch, and with the understanding, and the boys know it at this point. We'll make egg sandwiches before we leave, wrap them up in foil, eat them in the car on the way there, rather than stopping at Wawa.
Yep.
That saves us. I think we did the math that we can make 4 of them here for the price of 1.5 at Wawa.
Yep.
So that saves us money there. Tolls is one thing that, depending on which beach we're going to, is unavoidable. But packing our lunch saves us money, and then we always go with the understanding that at the end of the day we're getting a pizza and usually ice cream or custard.
Yeah. Well, actually, the past couple times we've been there, we got pizza, and then they bought themselves
ice cream or
custard, which is great. And I think that that's part of the part of raising money smart kids. They kind of see that negotiation that goes on. I will never feel bad if my kids think we're poor.
Yeah.
I would rather my children think that we're poor and live humbly than live and act like we're rich and put that out into the world. So I'm just going to...
But that's also a two-edged sword, because we don't want them to... Sometimes when people think they're poor, they get stingy. Our kids are still very generous.
I don't necessarily think so. I think that I'm gonna disagree with you on that, and I'm gonna talk to you about it offline. I think that being generous is different than feeling like my parents are rich and so they can afford everything that we want.
Right. That's I see what you're saying. There's no sense of entitlement.
Exactly. No sense of entitlement. That's a big one. We can talk about that a lot.
Yes, we do.
All right. So this week's menu. You want to talk about this week's menu?
A lot of our menus kind of repeat and recycle. So
They follow a theme.
Sunday night is usually our
Sunday supper.
Fancy dinner. Yeah. So tomorrow night we're doing chicken parm
and dessert. Sundays are Sunday supper and dessert. So Ryan requested chicken parm.
Chicken parm for dinner tomorrow.
So we're having chicken parm, and then Monday typically becomes leftovers.
Especially if I'm cooking on Sunday.
Especially if you're cooking for an army. And then Tuesdays we usually have tacos. So we'll have fish tacos, beef tacos.
Or burrito bowls or fajitas. Yeah.
So we're just going to have
Mexican night.
Yes, Mexican themed. Southwest Mexican themed. So we're just going to have beef tacos this week. Wednesday is typically breakfast, but we're going to wild card it this week with breakfast with bacon, lettuce, and tomato BLT sandwiches.
Bacon's a breakfast menu. So
that's right. Thursday is a wild card, so we'll let the kids decide what they want. Typically, I'm assume they will probably ask to go out to eat, but we're not going to do that on Thursday, probably.
No, because TJ won't be home till late.
That's right. So we'll probably be having burgers. If we leave it to Ryan, it'll be burgers. And then Friday we'll have pizza. And then Saturday we'll probably go out to dinner or breakfast. So that'll be that. Good.
Or pizza on a boardwalk.
I don't remember that discussion. So. All right, excellent. And then the last thing we kind of wanted to talk about today was how we had to dig into our emergency fund.
And how important it is to have that emergency fund.
Oh my goodness. I wrote about this over on moneymattersforeverybody.substack.com about my adventures of my 11-year-old Toyota Prius. She's a 2012 Toyota Prius C. I love her. I purchased her directly from Toyota, I guess, essentially, back. So I've always liked the hybrids. Like, I really do. I'm not an electric car girl, but I've always liked the hybrids. I kind of felt like they were they were good for the planet until somebody in my inner circle told me, you know how terrible they are. Somebody I respected. It wasn't my inner circle, but I guess that would be like if somebody you respect is in your inner circle, how much they actually do like deplete the environment. It's not, you can't just look at what you're saving on gasoline. Okay, that's not. But she is nothing, a little bit more than a goat cart on 4 wheels. She's lightweight. She doesn't get much faster than 70, 75 miles an hour. I know that Tim has pushed her, and TJ is learning to drive in her, and she is really getting a workout in as he pushes the gas down to the floor, and he's like, Mom, this thing doesn't go anywhere.
You can hear the car say, I've not done this before.
But another cool thing about her is she's almost impossible. TJ tried last week to get us into a car accident. A car cut him off. It was not his fault. It was the car's fault. But at the end of the day, we had a really good conversation around, does it really matter whose fault it is if you were inconvenienced and there was a crash? So you really need to take extra steps. And with the Prius C, you could take your foot off that gas and that thing stops. It stops going. It is really like a golf cart. Really is. So I have about 50,000 miles on this car, and I was headed into the office this week. I don't go in that often, a couple times a month usually, maybe even once a month I would say. And it's about a 40 to 50 miles each way, because I kind of take a route that's a little less crowded, a little less traffic.
Right.
It's still crowded. And it's all highway. It's like 100% highway. And I was on the highway going about 60 miles an hour to keep up with traffic, and an alarm came on my dashboard that said hybrid system
malfunction.
Yeah, like hybrid system alert, like stop driving immediately. And there was a bunch of lights on the dashboard. So I immediately put my hazards on and got it off onto the shoulder, phoned Tim, because I've never had this experience before, I don't think I've ever had this experience. So to say I was a little panicked would be an understatement. And I thought I was going to cry because it was quite overwhelming. So long story short, got Tim on the phone, got AAA on the phone. The tow truck driver came, picked me up, and brought me back the 28 miles to our Toyota dealership, where they were thankfully able to get me in that day. And it turned out it was simply the radiator was somehow pierced and the radiator fluid was leaking, but because the whole system is integrated, that meant that problem led to another problem, led to another problem. Thankfully, no engine issues. The engine did not overheat. The transmission did not overheat. And about $1,500 all in, right? It's like $1,416 plus $130 for the tow, plus you gave a generous tip to the tow truck driver. Right. And that was the least of my worries.
Yeah, because we had the emergency fund. The money was sitting there waiting to cover the event.
And I went to the dealership, so they had it for about, 24 hours, 36 hours.
Yeah, roughly.
And I was paying for the tab, and I noticed that if you use your debit card or your credit card, they charge you a 3% service fee, which on a $1,400, I don't even want to do math right now, would have been
$35.
Yeah, that's nuts. So I remember that from being there previously, that I thought, you know what, last time I was there for an inspection, so I think I had cash to pay. I don't generally walk around with $1,400, I could, but I wrote a check, and then they were able to electronically transfer the money from my checking account to their account and paid it off. But I honestly think that is probably what kept the cost actually down, right? Because it wasn't as expensive as I think it would have been.
Right.
And in the end, there were like 7 things on the invoice, because they had to check.
Yeah.
It wasn't just one. So, and when I was actually leaving, I had been contemplating trading my car in for a RAV4 because of my commute and because of the Prius C. I am terrified when I'm driving that thing and there's 18-wheelers around. Like, I swear, they're just a magnet to my car. I'm sure they can't see me. I don't believe that they're arrogant or anything. I think they're tired and maybe they can't see me. And I don't drive that fast. Again, she goes about 70 miles top speed for me. And had been contemplating purchasing a RAV4. So while they had it into the shop, Tim had inquired, said, can you give us a quote for how much you would give us for a trade-in? And they gave us a quote, and we stopped once we were finished. Once we picked ourselves up off the floor from laughing, we decided that we're not going to trade it in. We're going to wait a little bit. And I do have enough money that I could probably pay cash for it. And I know that there's some thought process that maybe you shouldn't buy a brand new car, but I have historically had my cars I've had the Prius for 11 years. The car before it, I had it for 9. So we keep our cars for a longer time now that we're older and you settle in and you're comfortable and you're not willing to throw that money away. That's money I'm not willing to throw away. But I was actually thinking, oh my gosh, should it be like every 10 years that we try to trade it in? So for now, we've agreed on a set amount we're going to set aside into the high yield savings account over the next couple years and let that money grow. And then when we're ready, we'll be ready.
Right.
But I think the whole market has changed for how you purchase a car as well. So I anticipate next time I will simply be going to Toyota USA, doing all my research, plopping in what I want and having it delivered.
Yeah, I mean, at least around here, it seems as though the car dealerships don't keep a lot in inventory.
Yeah.
So
it's actually our Toyota dealership, I think, had more non-Toyotas on their lot than they did.
Yeah, they had a lot of
Toyotas.
used cars.
So anyhow, so that's that. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
TJ, you want to pop in and talk business?
Well, I'd like to add on to that one statement. The reason that they didn't have a lot of Toyotas and more non-Toyotas is because Fords are better.
Fords are better. And that is the other thing I wrote in the article was how Ryan got in the car and sparred with me. Obviously, I was having this issue as like they were all getting ready for their mornings and Tim was getting Ryan to school. Tim kindly agreed to come pick me up. Like I was like 20 miles away. He agreed to come pick me up. And I said, I'll just take the tow truck back to the dealership. And then from there, he actually drove me into work because we were having a summer picnic. I wanted to see the people that I work with, and I thought that was really important that day. And the devil almost talked me out of it, right? Like there was a moment where I was like, no, it's fine. Like I'll just work from home today. But the past 3 times I've tried to go in. The one time there was an accident blocking the highway, like I can't remember the other time. It's just the other time I had like an urgent business issue that I couldn't afford 2 hours of commuting in the car that day. I needed to work on that issue. And then, this time. So we made it in. We told her the devil, not today. Not today. So anything else you want to talk about? You want to talk about any homestead business?
Yeah, homesteading wise, we're in the process of moving the chicken coop.
Go ahead, you can say it. To the place where I originally consulted and recommended but she told me I wasn't allowed. We're first-time homesteaders, right? Everything we're doing around here is kind of new.
Yeah.
Growing our own food, having our chickens for eggs. We don't eat our chickens yet. They tell me that they would be willing to process chickens if we get meat chickens.
I need to.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah.
Because we love chicken. That's our primary, I think. And beef is good too. But I don't have room for a cow for sure. But yeah. So the coop sits at the back of the house because of any predators.
Right outside of the house.
Right outside of the back of the house. So we're going to move it to over by the fence a little bit of ways away because somebody decided that when we got a new batch of chickens, that last year we had gotten 5 chickens. Sorry. We had gotten 5 chickens. So when we had this conversation, I thought we were going to get like maybe 2 replacement chickens, but another 5 came in and then 1 died that night. So then the hatchery was like, no chicken goes alone. So they gave us 2 more chickens. And you know the chicken math
It's
they
chicken
talk
math.
about? I'm done with chicken math. So, and now somebody says goat math. They talk about goat math. So. And the homestead. So we're working through the garden and the chicken coop.
Yeah, gardens are going. Lots of stuff planted. Some more stuff being planted from seed. So we'll have kind of an early harvest and a late harvest. That kind of worked out pretty well for us last year. Getting the chicken coop moved, adding on to the run so that the now 11 bird flock has more space and can be fully integrated and
Awesome.
less 5:30 wake-up calls to go let them out.
Yeah, the hens being the original Mean Girls is such a... So we have dealt with the first year of owning chickens was so nice, and I thought, oh, this isn't so bad. Well, the second year of owning chickens, I'm like, good Lord, these girls are drama queens. So...
We had one that had some sort of issue and was getting picked on by the rest.
Yeah, our first 5, which we don't name our chickens, not all of them. Some of them get their names because of how they behave. But we have a little chicken, Florence, because she needed to be nursed back to health. And she was getting picked on by the other 4 hens. And we understood through reading that there must have been something wrong with her, but visually there was nothing wrong with her.
Yeah.
We looked her over, there was no mites, there was nothing. So we still had to separate her because she was getting picked on.
Yeah, but now she's back integrated with the rest of the flock. Now we're trying to integrate the this year's chicks into the flock as well, and that's it's getting there. But it's not been as smooth as I had anticipated it to
That's
be.
terrible. Like at 5:30, you hear them, and these new chickens came from a different hatchery for us, a local hatchery. Last year we got our chickens from Tractor Supply. This year we got them from a local hatchery, and I kid you not, they remind me of baby dinosaurs. How they talk, all of it, and they don't want to be touched, and they refuse to take like fruit from me or anything. Like it's very. But we're getting used to each other. It's fine. It's totally fine. And of course, they try to stay away from the bigger girls because the bigger girls are not kind.
But they're starting to get their order figured out, and but by the time I'm coming down to let them out at 5:30, you know, the little ones are in one area, the bigger ones are in another area, pretty much minding their business. But really looking forward to getting their coop expanded or their run expanded, so that when the door opens, they can go out and
do their own thing.
Do their own thing and be
separate yourselves, please,
yes,
girls. Because and then having like some obstacles and fun stuff. Because chickens apparently get bored, and when they get bored, they can pick on each other. So we really want to create an environment where they're not going to pick on each other. Tim did put a swing in for me into the current coop. I just think they need more space. Oh, hey, Loudy, no, we're not barking. All right, and then anything on primetime photography?
Just getting my name out there, doing a lot of free shooting. Done a couple events at Ryan's school. Did some stuff for the township at the Memorial Day parade this past week. Took my camera when I took Terry to work the other day, and took my lunch break and kind of just did some street shooting. And
it's beautiful down there. So there's a lot of history. We live in the Northeast, so there's so many beautiful areas around, and I won't get into specific details about where we were. I'm sure people will see it at some point in photographs on Money Matters for Everybody. So, all right, cool. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for joining us.
Have a great week, everybody.
Make sure you're doing your budget, catch your plan, get out of debt, build wealth. Because if we can do it, you can do it too.
Let's get to work.
Get to work.